All right, so news just came down from Dennis Lin of The Athletic that the Padres are declining Michael Wacha's 2-year club option. It was $16 million in 2024, $16 million in 2025. This was expected because I think this would have been a big risk for the Padres. You take on $16 million per year for Michael Wacha, he's probably going to get hurt at some point, and with the payroll decreasing, is Michael Wacha, is he worth $16 million per year? That's what the Padres had to ask themselves. And they determined the answer to that was no. Now, does this mean that Michael Wacha is not going to return to the Padres? Of course not. He could return on a 2-year deal worth $10 million a year. He could return on a 2-year deal worth $12 million a year. Remember, every $1 million counts for this Padres team this year. With the reports that we're seeing about the Padres trying to get the payroll down to around $200 million, which is a $50 million decrease from this past season. So, not surprised that they don't want to pay Michael Wacha $16 million a year. But this is another A.J. Preller contract that was weird. Because when this contract was agreed to, did the Padres really think that even if Michael Wacha had a good season, that they were going to give him $16 million per year for the next 2 years? Did they really think that? Because it was still going to be a risk. He has a big, long injury history. And then the player options, I guess I understand it, but the only way that they had to realistically think that Wacha was going to take the player option for 2024, and by the way, there were 3 player options. This 2024 player option was for $6.5 million. The only way that they realistically could have thought that he was going to take it was if he got hurt and had like a season-ending injury. He had shoulder inflammation this year, so he did have time on the sideline, but it was not like a long season-ending injury, or he didn't have to have surgery or anything. So, the club option, it wasn't going to happen. And then the player option, that was only like going to be really friendly to Michael Wacha if something terrible happened. It wasn't like a realistic, maybe he'll take that 1 year, $8 million or 1 year, $10 million, and he'd take that, try to have an even better year or try to stay healthy for all of 24. So it was another kind of head-scratching contract, but that's it. They wanted Michael Wacha for 2023, and that's how they were going to get him. Offer him a contract where he could get out of it if he wanted to, if he had a good year, which he did, numbers-wise, on the field, sub-4 ERA, solid. So he found a way to get out of it, obviously. And, the Padres, again, they wanted Wacha, so that's the way that they were going to do it. They probably didn't want to guarantee him 4 years, right? Because the contract, it could have been a 4-year contract. It could have been this past year, take the option for 24, take the option for 25, and take the option for 26. That would have been like worst case scenario probably for Michael Wacha. So, yeah, he was going to sign that contract. So now Wacha, for now, is gone. Again, he could come back, but he's gone. He's not going to take the player option. He's a free agent. Free agency, I believe, starts on Monday. Nick Martinez, earlier today, I did a video on that, so you can check that out. He also is not going to have his club option picked up, which I believe was the same as Wacha's, 2 years, $32 million, $16 million per year. And Lugo declined his player option. Martinez obviously was going to decline his player option. He switched his agency. I forget who he was with, but now he's with Scott Boras, so we knew that move was coming. And Blake Snell, obviously, he's a free agent. Padres are probably not going to bring him back because a team's probably going to go pay him $180, $200 million, and the Padres that's probably not the best thing for them to do. Payroll and just who Blake Snell has been. So now they have to replace a lot of good starting pitching. 3 of their best starters they have to replace now. Some of those guys could come back, but now the rotation looks like Joe Musgrove, who's coming off of an injury, shoulder, which he seems fine. I'm not worried about Joe. It's more Darvish, but it's Musgrove and Darvish. That's it. I mean, if you had to make a rotation right now, who is it? Darvish, Musgrove, Pedro Avila, Matt Waldron, Jay Groom. Maybe there's probably someone else that I'm forgetting. Robbie Snelling, I don't think he's going to be ready. So they got to fill out this rotation at some point. Obviously, in the offseason, they got to fill this rotation out somehow. I think that one of those 3 is going to come back. If I had to pick one of them, I'd probably go with Seth Lugo. I love Nick Martinez. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Nick Martinez, but I think that Seth Lugo will be better as a starting pitcher, and starting pitching needs to be the priority right now for this Padres team. And if things don't work out for Lugo in the rotation, or there's more additions and just roster-wise it makes sense for him to go to the bullpen, he can go to the bullpen. And we know that he can pitch high-leverage innings in the bullpen, and he could be a long man just like Nick Martinez was. So I would go with Lugo. Maybe the Padres bring both back, or, in terms of Martinez and Lugo, or they bring Wacha back and one of those two. Maybe it's like 2-year, $20 million contracts for both of those guys. $10 million a year, that seems fair. I think that all three of those guys are probably going to get raises in free agency, so we'll see what happens. But right now, the rotation does not look good, but it's the beginning of the offseason, and so there's going to be a lot of names flying around. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of reports out there about the Padres having interest in certain names. Eduardo Rodriguez is a free agent now. He got out of that Tigers contract. Marcus Stroman's a free agent. So more and more options are becoming available. We'll see what happens. On the show on Monday, I'll have a show then talking about all of this. Mike Daly, who has no professional coaching experience, he is expected to be the Padres' AAA manager next year. I have a lot to talk about there. The Padres manager search, probably will have an update. Hopefully we'll have an update there as well. Carlos Mendoza is supposed to talk with the Padres this weekend. And there might be more reports out there about what the Padres want to do this offseason. So that episode will come out on Monday, probably Monday morning, sometime before noon, I hope. Have a great rest of your weekend. Wave have a playoff game tomorrow. San Diego State football is actually playing right now. They actually scored, so congratulations to them. I'll probably have a recap video up on San Diego State football, hopefully later tonight, or if not, tomorrow. But yeah, that's what we got going on this weekend, and free agency going to start on Monday, GM meetings on Tuesday, so it's a fun time because this past season we can just leave that in the past and we can just have optimism. Some people won't have optimism, but you can just have hopefully positive thoughts. We can dream about having great players come to the Padres. The manager search, obviously. There's a lot to talk about this offseason, so can't wait.